Welcome to the RadioU Podcast. Coming up, who's really responsible for ruining Shedeur Sanders' draft weekend?
Also, would you miss your sister's wedding after the death of a pet?
All that and more on the way next. We finally have an answer. Why does Yoda talk like that? 8772 Radio U. 45 years after Yoda was introduced in the Star Wars movies and The Empire Strikes Back, finally George Lucas, creator of Star Wars, was asked, why does Yoda talk like that? And Allie, do you buy this? He says, I mean, this is his answer, so it's true, but do you buy the philosophy that basically he said, it's so 12-year-olds will pay attention. He said, if you speak regular English, people won't listen that much. But if you say it in an interesting way, people will focus on it.
Yeah. Also, another part of his answer, which I think I would probably lean more into the idea that he's just trying to get people to listen to it and less into what he also said. But he was like, basically, he thinks it's so deep philosophically what Yoda is saying.
Yeah.
That he needs to kind of break it down in this way so that it is more understandable for people.
Even though it's not how people would normally say it.
Yeah, even though it's backwards. But I do think that that's less true than the whole just like it's more interesting to listen to because he's saying it in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's more the real answer than it being like, it's too deep. Like, you know, do or do not, there is no try. Like, that's not that deep. Like,
no, it's not.
You know, like.
But it definitely sounds wiser and more philosophical because of how it's
portrayed.
Yeah, because of the syntax of the sentence.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being, there is no try. Either you do or you don't.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't sound that's literally the same thing. That doesn't sound any different. Or doesn't sound wise. I don't sound like some kind of proverb.
Yeah, and maybe a part of it is because it's been made so famous by Yoda, like in that way, the way it's said by him, and so now it's it carries that extra weight with it because of that.
Yeah.
So I think that needs to be taken into play here too. But yeah, I would agree with him. Like, it is more interesting to listen to what he says because he kind of says it in that way, and you kind of have to piece it together a little bit, so it causes you to focus a little more.
Next question. Do you think he actually, 45 years ago when they were writing for Yoda, thought this hard about it, or was just somebody just threw that out and they're like, yeah, good idea. Now he's had 45 years to figure out a reason.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think they probably just thought it was cool and just thought, like, we need to make him speak in a different type of way than, you know, regular Americans would speak. And I doubt that they thought that hard about it.
If it is so wise or, you know, so much more interesting to listen to, shouldn't more of us be talking this way?
Maybe.
I really thought you were setting up to start
a
talking
Yoda
that
statement?
Way. Yeah, you were gonna say we may or we may not.
Yeah.
Perhaps there is. I don't even know.
But
that
again,
doesn't even make sense. But.
Yeah. Again, I do feel like because our brains are wired in a way where we do not speak like that, it actually would cause us to have to use more brain power to speak that way.
And maybe that would be for the best.
Maybe it would.
It would cause us to give more thought to everything that we say.
Yeah, it's a little brain exercise.
And we all know that I definitely need to think more before I speak.
Yeah, maybe everyone would love to listen to you more if you spoke like Yoda.
I don't know if that number can go up any higher. I live my life by one simple motto, simple acronym.
Okay.
ABC. Always be closing.
Oh, I was thinking it was going to be, well, for some reason I was thinking ABR from the Lego Batman movie.
What does that stand for?
He's always like, he's telling Albert, always be recording.
Oh, okay. Always be recording.
Always be recording.
That's a good one, too. Actually, ABC, I was thinking always be curious, but I do love always be closing, too. Okay. Always be curious. So I have a question, and I'm a curious mind, and so I want to know if anybody knows the answer to this. I was driving in today, and I was on a stretch of road where there's fire hydrants every so often.
Yeah.
It hasn't rained here. Only by the fire hydrants, the road, this is for like a dozen fire hydrants in a row, the road was wet just around the fire hydrants.
Okay.
So do they is it like somebody's job at night to go ahead and test the fire hydrants to make sure they're working or something? Or why else would this be? Even if there was a fire, right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have
Every
used
single
12.
one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, somebody who has some fire hydrant expertise needs to let us know. But my assumption would be maybe they would have been tested, or is it possible that water, almost like condensation, could happen around it?
That leaked out? I mean, it was this is a 4-lane road, 2 on each side. And this is it looked like it would have been spewing out a little bit or something. You know, this was well into the road, past the first lane that's closest to the fire hydrant.
Yeah, so maybe they were tested.
It seemed intentional.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe they all had a leak. Maybe there was too much
unlikely
pressure buildup. Maybe.
They all blew.
In this stretch, yeah, they didn't it just caused a little dribble out, enough for it to go onto the road, but not for it to blow. But
yeah.
I don't know. And then you think you see something like that, and the simplest explanation is, I mean, they got to test them at some point, right?
You would,
because you don't want to show up at a fire and it's hey, this is defective, it's clogged or something. I don't know,
right?
And then you're that couldn't just be somebody's only job is testing fire hydrants in the middle of the night.
No.
Or could it? There's a lot of them. There's a lot of fire hydrants if you pay attention.
That's true. There are a lot of fire hydrants. Maybe it's somebody that works for the city or something. That's their job.
And that's just their job.
They go around testing hydrants.
Overnight, you test hydrants.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, if that's their job, would that be a pretty good job?
I mean, I feel like it's hard to open a hydrant, right? You need to have...
they got to have a tool. It can't be that hard.
Well...
Because you need to be able to do it quick when a fire happens.
Yeah, but I don't know. Do they use a massive wrench? How do they get those open?
No, that sounds like a cartoon, doesn't it? But
I don't know. It probably is what they do. To turn it around or something.
There's just so much I don't know. I don't know. It seems like an easy job, but high pressure.
Good point.
This all was just for me to make that joke.
Oh, my goodness.
No, it's not. I really did see this, and I really am curious. So if anybody knows, 8772 Radio U, maybe the fire hydrant tester was out, is listening now.
Yeah.
Although it seemed like they did their job and stopped, because then eventually I got to fire hydrants where they was dry. So
okay.
I don't know. Maybe they went home and went to bed.
They were these don't need tested.
Or this
did those. Was the last one.
We did those a month ago.
Yeah.
And Hudson didn't notice.
We got a schedule.
Yeah, we do. Once a month. What's a good excuse to get out of being the maid of honor in your sister's wedding 2 days before?
Oh, no.
Because I need to get out of it. 8772 Radio U. I'm just kidding. But there's not many, right? There's not many good excuses to be. You're the maid of honor.
You're the maid of honor, and that's a pretty big deal.
It's your sister.
Getting married, yeah.
2 days before.
Yeah.
You got to be hospitalized.
You would think. You
probably spent a bunch of money on the dress. You gotta be there.
Yeah.
So this is a dilemma that came up on Reddit over the weekend, where a sister is asking, is she in the wrong for skipping her sister's wedding? She was supposed to be the maid of honor.
No, this is actually the sisters who was getting married.
So she's asking if she's upset. She's okay for being upset.
So how she poses this is she shares the story of how her sister a year ago skipped out on her wedding, even though she was supposed to be the maid of honor 2 days before. And she's asking, is she allowed to not be the maid of honor for her sister now because her sister has asked her to be the maid of honor?
What?
So that's how this is posed. But share the details, because I think it's important.
It is.
As to why she is so hurt by what happened.
2 days before her wedding, her sister, who was supposed to be the maid of honor, backed out, claiming that her 14-year-old dog had unexpectedly passed away. I don't want to be insensitive, but can a 14-year-old dog unexpectedly pass away?
Oh, Hudson.
If nothing was wrong, I guess, but still. She says she called me sobbing, saying she couldn't emotionally handle coming to the wedding because she was too devastated I tried to talk her down, even offered to have someone bring her home early if it was too much, but she refused and didn't show up. And then fast forward to now where this is coming back to bite possibly the sister in question that had the dead dog.
Yeah, so we'll just say one of them is younger, one of them is older. So the younger sister's the one that got married first. The older sister's the one that had the dog that died. So maybe that'll help so it's not so confusing. So we're like, sister.
Yeah.
So the younger sister who made this post is now being asked by her older sister who skipped out on her wedding because of her dog dying, will you be my maid of honor? And the younger sister is like, honestly, I don't want to be your maid of honor. I'm still really hurt by what you did to me a year ago. And she's asking Reddit, is this, a bad thing for me to do?
And what do you think, Allie?
Here's the thing. I think she should be the bigger person and just go for it and be her maid of honor and actually do a better job than what her older sister did for her. Because I do think it's pretty bad that her older sister skipped out on the wedding. I've seen people even lose family members, 24 hours before a wedding and still show up and still be there for that person and celebrate with them. And dogs and pets are like family members to us. It can be very crushing when they die. I remember when I first lost my longtime family pet, I sobbed, I was really in emotional distress. But did I skip out on work? Did I, skip out on other requirements that were needed of me? No, because at the end of the day, you got to pick up and keep going. And this is a big deal for your sister. She's getting married. And I can guarantee, this is, to me, the real stinger here. I can guarantee both of them will regret these decisions if they continue down this path. The older sister is going to regret not being there for her younger sister on her wedding day. The younger sister is going to regret if she does not be there for her sister on her wedding day. So I think, the younger sister needs to be a bigger person and just be there for her sister, even though it hurt for her in the moment that her older sister skipped out on her wedding.
Yeah. I definitely think, I totally agree. It was wrong. It sucks when your dog dies, but it was wrong to skip out on being the maid of honor. I would have more room for you to say, oh, I can't do it. If your dog was actually if your dog was alive and about to pass away.
And you didn't want to miss the dog
Yeah, that's
dying.
right. You want to be those last few moments. I still kind of feel like you got to go wedding, but also I don't like weddings. So I think that would be a good excuse to get out of it. But yeah, you have to be the bigger person because the same way that you're looking at your wedding pictures now thinking, I can't believe she wasn't there. Like these are supposed to have you in it. You don't want to make that for somebody else. This is your sister. You probably love her otherwise.
Right.
And you got to let things go too. Like this is not going to make it even.
No,
it's just going to make you both upset.
Yeah, definitely. And she did say in the post that her and her sister have had a complicated relationship, and it shows. It kind of shows.
Yeah.
But I would. And she said her parents are encouraging her to be the bigger person. I would encourage you the same way. Be the bigger person. Love your sister in a way that you want back. If you want that same love from her, you need to show it sometimes.
But also, if she has another choice for maid of honor, maybe choose the other person that you didn't screw over. And also, do you want somebody being your maid of honor when their heart's not in it?
Yeah, maybe the younger sister could just be like, I'm not going to be the maid of honor, but I'll be at the wedding.
There you go. Solutions oriented. There's an iconic PSA that people started seeing a lot on movies in the year 2004. It's a ad that says, you wouldn't steal a car.
Oh no, I can literally hear the music for it.
You've seen this, right? You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal a handbag.
Oh, no.
You wouldn't steal a television. And so you wouldn't steal a DVD. And then it closes with downloading pirated films is stealing.
Yep. It was so dramatic.
It was really dramatic. Man. Like the police were going to come after you if you downloaded a movie, which, of course, most people probably that did download DVD or movies found that wasn't true.
Yeah.
But it was, a bit of a scary ad.
It was a scare tactic.
And it was literally on like every DVD, like with the trailers or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And Blu-ray going back. I don't know how long they continued putting that on.
It was for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like that was around for like at least 10 years.
And they never updated it.
No, it was always the same ad.
Always handbags. But here's a funny story that people have just uncovered about this iconic PSA.
Okay.
And that is that for the longest time, people assumed, I don't know who even thought about this, but people assumed that the PSA, because all of what I just said, you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal a handbag,
right.
that was written in a font on TV, like that you would see. People thought it was the FF Confidential font that was created by Just Van Rossum in 1992.
Okay.
But then people that really studied this for some reason noticed some irregularities and found that they thought it might be X-Band Rough font, which was a free font that was a ripoff of the FF Confidential font.
Oh, no.
And guess what? Just recently, somebody found an old PDF from this ad campaign with the font embedded. Surely enough, as I stand before you today, they had used the X-Band Rough font, a.k.a. in this iconic anti-piracy ad, they use a pirated font.
No way! That's crazy. They were like, but we would steal a font.
Yeah, you would steal a font. So you would steal a DVD. What can we learn from this, Allie?
Well, we can learn that, unfortunately, those people that made the ad, they might have also been the people that would download pirated movies.
It's possible.
You know, just because you make an ad doesn't mean you believe in what you're putting in the ad.
That is true. They literally hired people to make this ad, and there was no philosophical purity test applied.
Right.
And so, or also, it could just be the people that did it had no idea.
Yeah, I think that's more than likely the case, that they had no clue that it was a pirated font. But
they're like,
the irony on this is quite crazy.
This font looks like it would be used in Cops. So this is the one we'll go with. But I also do think there's a lesson that can be learned, and that is you can never expect anybody to be truly pure. You know what I mean? I think that's a good lesson. Like, even the people that are out there, like, banging a gong for whatever thing, like, they have their own things that they
got dirty laundry.
Yeah, that's right. It may or may not pertain to the cause that they're championing or going against or whatever, but none of us are perfect.
Nope. Certainly not.
Definitely not those who made the You Wouldn't Steal a Handbag DVD.
Yeah, I think that's
PSA.
the number one sin in the entire video. Handbag? Why not purse?
Seriously.
Why not purse?
Why not purse indeed? The NFL draft turned into the Shadur Sanders show over the weekend. 8772 Radio U. Al, you might have to hold me back on this one.
Oh, boy.
You might have to hold me back.
I'm ready.
Because I am fired up about Shadur Sanders.
I'm kind of fired up about it, too, because my Browns drafted him.
Yeah.
All right, but you go.
First of all, so Shadur Sanders, son of Deion Sanders, NFL legend, he quarterback of Colorado this past season, and he was speculated by many to be going at least in the top 10 of the NFL draft, was the kind of possible expectation.
Right.
He wound up falling to the 5th round before he was finally chosen.
It was wild. The fall was crazy.
I want to start by saying I feel bad for Shadur Sanders.
I was starting to feel bad for him. I was like, somebody pick him already.
Yeah. I feel bad for him because he was chosen by the Browns. But seriously, folks, I do feel bad for him, mostly because I think for all of the favors and good things that Deion Sanders' dad has done for him, I also think it's pretty obvious his dad has done him a major disservice in draft preparation.
Yeah. Because
I think that has to be attributed to the major reason why he fell so far.
Yes.
Is not his on-the-field performance or characteristics generally. Because I'm sure some of the other guys quarterbacks that went before him in the draft, they're comparable at best, right?
Yeah.
But because Deion Sanders was advising him, there's certain teams we're not going to talk to because we don't even want to go there. that kind of stuff. He seemed not prepared. I know the Giants mentioned in their interview with him that he wasn't prepared. Like, he didn't know what he was talking about coming into the interview. He wasn't ready.
No.
And you got to show this is a job interview for a very high-paying job. Right. You got to be ready and take it seriously.
I think the Giants, the report from the Giants really was the nail in the coffin for Shedeur as far as his fall, because it was obvious they were not happy with how that went. And that just put a sour taste in everyone's mouth.
Yeah.
For Shedeur.
After he was already big time in teams and, telling certain teams like, yeah, I just don't even want to, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
You're not that good, man.
Yeah. It's the scouting report on him was not favorable. It said his balls that were like short were fluttering. Some of the deep ones were good. Some of them weren't. And so it's just like overall, you didn't even have that great of a performance, to show to these teams. And you didn't have a great record at Colorado.
Yeah.
So it's like, what legs were you even standing on? It was the legs of your father, of your name. That was it.
And then that came around to bite him, I think, definitely for the draft, not just in preparation, but then once you fall out of the first round, it's clear that whatever team is going to draft you is going to draft you as a backup.
Yes.
You're not starting on day one if you don't get drafted in the first round.
Most likely, no.
And if you're drafting a backup as a team, you don't want a backup that's got, for his own personality is one thing, but talking about having Deion Sanders holding press conferences and being out on social media and where, and having all this attention spotlight brought on you, putting dissension in the locker room.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody would be shocked if that's the case that plays out with the Browns or wherever he would have wound up. They were afraid and they're like, we don't need to deal with that. We can draft somebody else that's comparable and not have to worry about all that spotlight and unnecessary attention and division in the locker room.
Right, which is why I'm not exactly happy that the Browns selected him. They ended up trading up to get him because I think they were trying to prevent another team from getting Shedeur, which I'm like, why? It doesn't matter who gets him at this point.
Seriously.
Because also, if you noticed, the Browns selected Dylan Gabriel earlier.
They already had a quarterback in the draft.
They already had a quarterback, and they already have a pretty stacked quarterback room. Like, they have people already way in front of Shedeur as far as the line of succession goes for who is going to be the Browns quarterback. Now, they'll have an honest battle for it. They'll see who's the best, but I would imagine everybody right now is thinking Joe Flacco is going to start opening day for the Browns and the first game for them. But we'll see what happens with Dylan Gabriel. We'll see what happens with Shedeur and Kenny Pickett. There's just so many people to choose from. But yeah, I felt bad for him because it just felt like everybody was just kind of taking it out on him. What really made me feel bad for Shedeur was the prank call.
Oh, really?
The prank call made me feel bad.
Because this is where I was going to say, this is one thing I do not feel bad about, is the prank call. And people are saying nonsense about the prank call. Oh, they're going to find out who these boys are. This is going to follow them for the rest of their life. Doing a prank call?
No, I don't think they should get any type of repercussions.
Yeah, it's not a crime. It's not illegal.
No, it's not.
It didn't hurt anybody.
Well, I would argue, there could be some psychological damage, but I just felt bad for him that you could tell in the moment he was excited. He thought he was about to get drafted by the Saints, and then it's a prank. And, that made me feel bad for him. That was because I wasn't feeling bad.
Yeah.
And then that video went viral, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel bad. Like, this is messed up.
I'm not going to give the kids any comedy awards or anything.
No.
I don't think I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no.
But I'm also college kids prank calling, like it is kind of a golden opportunity that they got that phone number, and now the investigations come out. Like it was the defensive coordinator of the Falcons had it on his iPad. His son took it and he didn't even know, according to the investigation anyways, and that's how he got this number that was set up just for the draft. But I'm not going to really cry any tears. You know why, too? Because it doesn't seem like Shedeur Sanders is crying any tears. He had a big party at the Hyde Lounge in Dallas with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Kodak Black, and other stars after getting drafted in the 5th round. So I
Yeah.
think he's doing fine. He would be fine if he never got drafted. And
Exactly.
his dad is Deion Sanders.
His dad's Deion Sanders. He'll always be fine. And honestly, he would have made more money by staying at Colorado.
And quite frankly, if it was any other industry too, people are crying all these tears for Shedeur. Oh, it's so sad he didn't get drafted to the 5th round. I'm sorry. In any other industry, he'd be a Nepo baby, and we'd all not like him.
No, I think that is the case. Most
Yeah.
people do not like him because he is a Nepo baby.
These people come around and they're defending him and feeling all sorry for him. I was like, man, if his name wasn't Sanders, you would not care.
No.
Got a job opportunity for the dog lovers out there. 8772 Radio U. Pays pretty good. No experience necessary. Seriously, we will send this to you at 8772 Radio U if you want it. But think carefully first. It's dog breath sniffer.
Oh. Nope.
Spot and Tango is a dog wellness brand in New York City. They are hiring somebody to be their dog breath sniffer this summer. Apparently, it pays $25 an hour.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna throw up.
I don't know how many hours she would have to spend per day. I don't know if it's full time. It says it's an internship, a paid internship. They literally want somebody that will smell dog breath.
Yeah, they're like, we need an intern for this.
Right.
None of us want to do it.
Yeah. What are you supposed to do in this? Obviously smell dog's breath, but specifically, what they want you to do is conduct close-up breath assessments on a diverse panel of pups, maintain a highly detailed scent note journal. Also, you need to collaborate with our canine focus groups and build a team of in-the-field brand ambassadors. Share your professional sensibilities.
Oh my goodness.
And provide real-time feedback to keep dog breath in check. I just guess I don't understand. Maybe this is a job that needs to be done. I don't understand to what end. What is the point of this?
I guess, are they testing maybe some breath helper type products, dental products for dogs that they use, that they make?
Say anything about that, but maybe.
Maybe maybe they're checking to see what breeds have better, dental hygiene. I don't know. Better breath.
I can imagine somebody getting into this role. And sometimes with work, it'd be rewarding to work with dogs if you love dogs, but you want to know the point. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
I guess some people might just see this as an easy $25 an hour because it does sound kind of easy if you can just handle the dog breath.
I don't think I could handle that.
But then it's would if you did get into this role, would you start feeling pressure to actually write notes about the dog's breath and just make stuff up,
Maybe.
Because I feel like I would just smell dog breath and I'd just be like, yep, that doesn't smell good. And that would be my assessment of every dog.
Yeah. You'd need to be more detailed.
Yeah. And then it's just but nobody's going to go back and check oh, did that,
Did that dog actually smell like that?
Yeah. So I could just make stuff up.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if you have no integrity, I suppose you could.
Yeah. I don't have that much integrity. If I'm a dog breath smeller for a summer internship, I'm not going to have a lot of integrity for that role. I just want a quick buck.
Yeah,
a quick $25 an hour, which I know it's New York City. You actually have to be in the city. This is in person. That's not going to get you much in New York City.
No,
but it's $25 an hour. Still kind of that's not bad.
But it's
for smelling dog
not
breath.
for 40 hours a week.
Yeah, this is probably a side gig, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not long term either.
No,
so.
Only over the summer, and in my opinion, not worth it at all.
Justin says, "What if you go nose blind to the dog breath?"
Yeah, that's what I would be worried about. How awful would that be?
I feel like you would, because there'd be some variety with it. So it probably would. I feel like I wouldn't be concerned about that.
There'd be some variety.
I don't think all dog breath smells the same.
No,
it doesn't mean
for
any
sure.
of it really smells good.
No,
but.
I've never encountered a dog with breath that smells good.
No, Zafira the dog, her breath isn't annoying.
It isn't the worst?
Yeah, you don't smell it unless it's really up in your face, and usually it's not, not problematic. It's just not good.
I'm going to literally gag.
Talking about dog breath.
I'm just thinking of it, and it just does not smell good. is bad.
So you want me to send you the link?
Nope.
Allie, you've been working your way through the show Love on the Spectrum, right?
Yes, I have.
You're not finished the new season, are you?
I haven't yet because I've been so distracted by playoff basketball that I really haven't been watching shows that much.
I'm telling you, I know the Cavs have been winning.
Yes.
But watching Love on the Spectrum will make you happier than
There's no
referees in the
There's no
in Love on the Spectrum.
No way. The amount of happiness I will have if the Cavaliers win the NBA Finals this year cannot compare to Love on the Spectrum.
Well, the thing is that's not going to happen.
Or I'm sorry, the other way around. Love on the Spectrum can't compare to to the Cavs winning.
It's neither here nor there. But Love on the Spectrum, I mean, even if you don't love it as much as playoff basketball, I know you've been enjoying it. I love it. It is a
great show
about people with autism dating, like a reality show. And it is one of my favorite shows. I mean this, of all time.
I
love
wholesome.
watching it. I wish there were 1 million episodes. And Mrs. Hudson loves it too. Her TikTok is all Love on the Spectrum.
Nice.
Mostly Connor and Tanner from Love on the Spectrum. She might
literally the best character. Like I say characters, they're people, but they're the best in that show.
She might leave me for one of them given the opportunity. And I wouldn't blame her for it. But she sent me this TikTok from Tanner from Love on the Spectrum, one of the people with autism that's on the show.
Yeah.
His mom on TikTok came up for her, and it actually, it really got to me.
Aww.
Because she was talking about how when he was growing up, with autism, she said she was so afraid that he would grow up and, have no friends. Mm-hmm. That autism make things so difficult for him that he would not. And she was afraid of that.
Yeah.
And had a lot of fear and kind of lost faith about that, what was his life going to be like?
Right.
Fast forward to today, of course, the reason she posted it, he had gotten to 1 million. He's over 1 million TikTok followers.
Aw, Tanner.
Obviously, all your TikTok followers aren't friends, but it's emblematic of how many people are out there that love him and support him and rooting for him. And, she said when she was praying and, going through this with him as he was growing up, it was hard to keep faith. And I guarantee you that when she would say this, when she was praying, she wasn't going, God, please put Tanner on a autistic dating show.
Right.
And so he has 1 million followers on TikTok one day. She just wanted him to have a friend.
Yes.
And
she
now look where he is.
Happy.
And she says, God gives you immeasurably more if you keep your faith and you keep following him. And I feel like that's so true. In each of I've said, this is my motto in life, that we have a problem that we want solved in a certain way. Oh, I need $29,000 so I can pay my debt. Oh, I wish I just had a girlfriend so that I could be happy. Oh, I wish I would get this job so I would get this. And this is what we think. These are our solutions to our problems.
Yeah.
But what we put these limits on God that even if you're, praying to God, you're like, God, I hope I get this job or whatever it is.
Right.
God might have a much more creative solution than you're expecting. And so he will give you immeasurably more. It doesn't mean if you're praying for $29,000 to get out of debt, that he'll give you 1 million.
Right.
But it does mean that there's more than one way to answer the question, how do I get out of debt? You know what I mean?
Right.
And we have our own thoughts and feelings about how every problem should be solved. But when you leave it up to God and let him do it, he'll find a way that's much more creative, that often is much more creative and much better than even we have in our minds.
Yeah, that's literally scriptural. That's from the New Testament. Immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine is how I believe it's Paul that writes that. Mm-hmm. And so that's anything you could ask God, anything you can even imagine in your head that you may be like, I'm a little too afraid to ask God for this or whatever. And that is, it says he can do more than that. Mm-hmm. Like you said, we can't really put limits on God. He is absolutely limitless. And so, yeah, we often will do that. But it's crazy when you have a chance like what Tanner's mom is talking about to look back and see, these were things that I prayed for, things that I asked for years ago. Look how God has answered them in a way that is so much more than what I asked for. Mm-hmm. I encourage everybody to do that.
Yeah.
If you've prayed for something, look back and see how God has answered that prayer, how he's been faithful through your life. And I've done this so many times when you're feeling ungrateful. This is a great way to get out of that because you'll look back and you'll be like, oh my goodness, look how faithful God has been through my life.
And if you're going through a problem right now that you want solved, trust God with it. Start talking to him and maybe go, hey, God, I have this problem. I really want it solved. And don't add on I want it solved by you doing this.
Yeah.
Just let him solve it and see what happens.
Yes.
If you want to know more, RadioU.com/free gift. Now, that Bill Belichick interview was weird, huh? 8772 Radio U. If you didn't see this, it was on CBS Sunday Morning yesterday. Not exactly known as hard-hitting journalism, but they had Bill Belichick on for an interview. He's talking about a new book he's got coming out. And the interviewer, this is where it got awkward. Interviewer, what's his name? Tony Dokapil. He asked Bill Belichick, how did you meet your girlfriend, Jordan Hudson? She's 24 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was there for the entire interview in the same room off the main camera.
Yeah.
And she steps in and says, no, we're not talking about this.
What?
What is going on?
What's so bad about how you met? How
What?
did you guys meet?
Yeah, seriously.
What's going on here?
You're raising a lot of questions
Yeah.
by not answering the question.
Makes it pretty suspicious if you're not willing to answer that.
My not answering any questions about how we met shirt is really raising a lot of questions, clearly answered by my shirt.
Right.
It is unusual. And listen, I always want to give Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt because he is the football genius of our time. But that doesn't mean that he's a relationship genius of our time. And I'm starting
to worry.
Yeah, I'm starting to get concerned.
Very concerned
And
here.
just because Bill Belichick, I give him the benefit of the doubt, means absolutely nothing about my opinion of Jordan Hudson, who I can only identify with her in that she loves Bill Belichick. But other than that, or at least see,
we can't even guarantee that.
yeah, I don't even know. She sees something in Bill, but what that something is, I'm starting to have my questions about her motivations.
Also, what is he wearing in this interview?
It's a shirt for Navy, as in military, the U.S. Navy. But it has a rip in it.
It has a massive hole in the front.
Which I think is part of the design, right? But that's quite a choice for a 73-year-old man.
Yeah, that definitely, if it is, I know some shirts are made with that distressed look, and I absolutely hate it because it does look just raggedy in my opinion.
Yeah.
So maybe this is something with a 24-year-old girlfriend influencing his clothing decisions.
It is Bill Belichick, so it also could actually just be he's had that shirt so long that's what it looks like now, and he's just like, yeah, I'd wear this out.
Oh, it's gross, Bill. Please don't wear that. Please stop.
Oh man, this is it's so awkward, and the interviewer Tony Dokapil also asks so Bill, you're now on social media, doing these yoga things on the beach and whatever. How's the reaction to that been? And Bill Belichick, which I do believe this, he's just I don't really, I'm on there, but I don't really pay attention to it. I feel like Jordan Hudson or somebody she hires or whatever is taking these pictures and doing these posts, and Bill Belichick literally never sees any of it.
Yeah, he's not. There's no way he's on Instagram.
But still unusual,
when
you're doing a press tour, you
weird.
might have an answer to that.
Yeah, all of it is very weird. It's not lining up, and it feels very much like she's not only his girlfriend, but his mom. You know what I mean? Like a momager.
Yeah. And he doesn't need that.
No, it's not good. It's not a good look for you, Jordan. You need to stop.
Yeah. She's done other stuff on socials that's starting to make her look kind of bad. I support Bill. I do not support Jordan.
Yeah.
It's time for the box office breakdown, not the weekend watch list. And
Already
that'd be
Friday.
nice. That'd be nice. The box office breakdown, our Monday tradition, letting you know what made money and what didn't in movie theaters over the weekend. Of course, let us know what you've seen lately at 8772 Radio U. Number one at the box office, this is crazy, Allie, is Sinners once again for the second week in a row. It's a new Ryan Coogler directed vampire-y, horror-y movie starring Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, and it made $45 million
Whoa.
in North America. If you're keeping track, that's basically what it made last weekend in its opening weekend. That's really good.
I can't even lie. I did see a headline for this. It's a 6% drop. That is unheard of.
Yeah, for a movie that makes that much money.
Yes.
You can make like $1 million and have a 6% drop.
Yeah.
But not $45 million.
No, usually you see at least in the 30 percentile of a drop from weekend to weekend after the opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess word of mouth was strong enough to keep this one going. And it did quite well. That's, this past weekend.
This is how big this movie is, Sinners, even though it's an R-rated horror movie, which first of all, it's crazy that an R-rated horror movie is even making, now it's over $122 million in North America. It's so big. Nene told me he might go see it, and he hates horror movies.
I still really want to see this, so maybe I need to go with Nene.
Yeah, you should take him. Number 2 at the box office, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Wait, what year are we in?
We're in the 20th anniversary of that movie. It came out 20 years ago, and that made $25 million for its re-release.
So that's why George Lucas was talking about Yoda.
That's exactly right. And then number 3 was The Accountant 2 in its first weekend with Ben Affleck and John Bernthal. That made $24 million for its opening weekend.
Pretty good box office weekend, might I say.
I guess so, yeah. A lot of people were out at the movies.
And splitting well amongst all of the films,
Speaking of splitting, people texting in what they've seen, Chris says he had a little M. Night Shyamalan movie marathon this weekend. He watched Unbreakable, Split, and Glass.
Okay, so he watched the trilogy.
Yes.
The trilogy that we didn't know was getting a trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, that was a long time coming, that trilogy.
It really was.
Between Unbreakable, which came out, I think, in the 90s, all the way to Glass, which is only a few years old. Let's see. Thomas watched the new Snow White over the weekend. Not amazing, but not as bad as I think it was made out to be. I do think,
that's kind of what I heard. It was like a meh film.
Yeah, but it's just when you're remaking a classic movie,
no one wants meh.
Yeah, right. Allie, what did you watch recently?
I finally watched Companion over the weekend, which was on Max, added to Max just a couple weekends ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely loved it. I want a Companion sequel or prequel, something. It was so good, and I feel like if you have not seen any trailers for this, have no idea what the plot is, go into it with that mindset.
Okay.
Because it really does set up well as a film that you can watch without, it's one of those movies you wish you could watch it again without knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it scary though?
No. It's
bloody.
It has some moments of goriness, but nothing extreme.
More or less bloody than Megan?
I'd say less.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I watched Megan, so
I think you can definitely handle it, and I think you would like it. There are surprises, there are twists, so even if you know the main plot point, there are still plenty of twists to enjoy.
Okay. Here's what I've seen lately.
Okay.
One, I'll start. My favorite thing is The Rehearsal, the new season of the Nathan Fielder Show.
Okay.
Canadian. It's such a goofy concept, and the whole time you're like, how much of this is written? How much of this is reality? How much is fake? It's just you're guessing, but you're laughing. But also, the tone of it is so odd. I recommend that to almost anybody. And then I also watched Soul for the first time since it came out. I saw it
the Disney
initially.
movie.
Yes, the Pixar movie, and I like the movie, and it always makes me emotional. I've watched it twice. It made me emotional at the end, just like it did the first time.
Those Pixar movies, man.
Yeah, it's the score too. The score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I think, and they're famous for doing movie scores now. The score is really good, and it really gets at you. But there is one major thing I really hate in the movie, and this is a spoiler, but I'll do this quick. Is in Soul the whole time, Joe is the main guy.
Yeah.
He dies and then tries to get back to Earth because he was about to play his show with whatever the lady was that was like, oh, this is the big jazz concert. Finally, my dreams are coming true. And then he gets back. He's able to play the show. And then he's like, I don't know if that really made me that happy. And I always had a big problem with that. Like, he just instantly is like, this thing I've been chasing for like 45 years, one show, I guess I don't like it that much after all. And it's like, maybe, I don't know. I just like the heel turn so quickly on that. Threw me the first time, and it threw me again the second time. Like, Joe gave up on that way too quickly, is what I'm thinking.
Well, sometimes movie plots have to do that.
Yeah. 8772 Radio, you let us know what you've seen lately. That's your box office breakdown.
Over the weekend, we had more NBA playoffs games, and I feel like we had probably one of the most controversial weekends with reffing, Hudson.
Oh, it was bad.
It was a bad weekend.
I thought, because I've been going in and out on the NBA playoffs, like I haven't been dialed in on every game.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it is that every time I switch on a game,
you're getting the bad refs.
I'm seeing refs mess stuff up. They're just doing it so often that you can't avoid it. Even if you only watch for 5 minutes at a time, you're going to see a bad call.
This playoffs have been particularly bad so far with these refs. They're making bad calls left and right. Even me as a Cavs fan, I'm okay with what's going on with this series. They're up 3-0. There's been bad calls in that series. You would think it would be less likely with the 3-0 series, but even that series has had bad calls. But I would say it all culminated in the game that we got last night between the Knicks and the Pistons, which wasn't last night. This was yesterday afternoon. But that game ended on a really bad missed call where a New York Knicks player, I don't even know who it was, really badly fouled Tim Hardaway Jr., who's trying to shoot a three with, the clock running down, and the refs did not call it. JB Bickerstaff, head coach for the Pistons, runs out on the court, is yelling at every single one of them, but time is out. There's no time to do anything at this point. And that really, if they would have called that would have won the Pistons that game.
And the NBA, and I think the referee himself, right?
They've come out and said they missed this call.
But what good does that do you? Like,
nothing.
What happens now?
You can't give them that game, which would have tied the series. And now you put the Pistons on the brink of elimination
as they go
back. Yeah, as they go back to New York now.
I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like the Pistons, one way or another, are going to lose to the Knicks eventually. But it is, I don't mean that game. I just mean in the series. But now they're really behind the eight ball, and you took away a huge opportunity for them. And that's not the only, that is the most egregious example so far. But there's been almost in every game we've been watching, there's been stuff. And the Lakers, Timberwolves had several controversies yesterday. There was a play I saw, that's the game that I was tuned in for, where two Timberwolves players, while the Lakers were handling the ball, two Timberwolves players hit the ball with their leg. One of them caused it to go out of bounds, and it was ruled out of bounds on the Lakers. The Lakers didn't challenge that, so I guess that's on them. But listen, the way these referees are messing up this much, you don't have enough challenges. No. There's not enough challenges in the game.
You only get two.
Yeah.
And if you miss the first one, you lose your challenges. You don't get to challenge again.
Yeah.
So, you really do have to pick and choose the right moments to use them. And if you are not good at that or not good judge of that, you could end up with no challenges and then you're stuck. But I feel bad for how that ended in Detroit yesterday. But I would agree that there was definitely some missed calls. I know JJ Redick, the head coach for the Lakers, really upset, really hot about what's going on in their series. Earlier
in the Knicks-Pistons series, Tom Thibodeau of the Knicks was calling out the referees as well. And you kind of expect coaches to do that, but at the same time, they're not wrong.
Yeah, it's been, and I feel like it's ramping up.
I don't know. The thing is, I don't know what the answer is, because you can't expect perfection from these referees, but we can expect better than this. And the answer is definitely not more challenges and more reviews. The answer should just be they should be paying attention and getting it right. They may not get it right 100% of the time, but their percentage needs to go up from where it is now.
Yeah, it needs to get better, because what you hate to see, and this is what we saw with the Pistons and the Knicks, and I hate coming back to this, but like you said, this is the most egregious example. You hate to see a game being decided by a missed call or a bad call, and that's what we got with this. You never want that, and especially for the playoffs. Like, this is when it means the most, and you never want to see it be in the hands of the refs. You want to see it be in the hands of the players, and so it sucks to see this.
And I can almost assure you too, and this doesn't make it right, but I feel like Knicks Pistons the next game, you're going to see the Pistons get the benefit of the doubt. Like, there's going to be much more fouls, I bet, called on the Knicks.
Yeah.
Because they're going
to be like auto-correcting.
They try to even it out, but that doesn't actually even it out.
No.
And in fact, just compounds the problem.
Just make good calls.
Yeah, just call it fair and get it right.
Yeah.
I know it's hard. It's not easy to be a referee. There's a lot going on, but it's not always like this.
Yeah.
I feel like the standards have dipped, and it's making it really hard to watch. Love them or leave them on Radio U Mornings with Hudson and Allie. 8772 Radio U. You can chime in with some advice here whenever you've got juicy relationship drama. We're happy to help, and you can let us know at mornings@radiou.com. This one, another wedding situation.
Okay.
Let's start here. My boyfriend and I have been together for just over 3 years. Over that time, I've made a genuine effort to connect with his family. I've joined them for holidays, birthdays, and other gatherings. Always tried to be kind, respectful, and supportive. His last single aunt in the family just announced that she's getting married in June. It's been a big deal for everyone. The family is very excited. I assumed I'd be attending the wedding with my boyfriend. I've met his aunt several times, and we've always gotten along. There's never really been any tension or awkwardness. So when I asked my boyfriend about the plans, he told me that I had not been invited, or that he had been invited, but he was not allowed to bring a +1.
What?
I felt disappointed, but I wanted to give the benefit of the doubt. I figured she literally took the words out of my mouth where I thought she was going. Maybe it's a small wedding, or the guest list was limited. But then I found out that his younger brother, who's only been dating his girlfriend for 6 months, was allowed to bring her to the wedding.
Whoa.
What?
What is happening here?
That really hurt. I don't blame her at all. I guess his girlfriend, but it made me feel like I'm not a part of the family, even after 3 years. I talked to my boyfriend about it. I explained that it made me feel excluded and undervalued. He listened and was supportive. He told me he understood why I was hurt and that my feelings were valid. At the same time, he feels that I shouldn't let this event affect how I view his family as a whole. He thinks I should continue attending family gatherings, and skipping them might make things more awkward or strained later on. Here's where I'm struggling. There's a family reunion coming up this summer. It's in September. It's a big camping trip they do every year, and everyone attends. Normally I would go, but right now I don't feel comfortable. I want to sit it out, and I feel like I need to process everything. I love my boyfriend. I'm not trying to create a rift or make him choose sides. I just need some space to think about what all this means for me and how I fit into his world moving forward. Long situation. Mm-hmm. But this is tough.
This is really, really tough. I mean, I am a little bit flabbergasted. I cannot lie. What is going on here?
You know what? She needs some time to process. So do I.
Yeah.
And we need some help here. 8772 Radio U. Been together with your boyfriend 3 years. His aunt won't invite you to his wedding, but his little brother is allowed to bring his girlfriend, who's only been with the brother for 6 months. What is the deal?
What's going on?
Do you keep going to family stuff? 8772 Radio U. Let us know your thoughts. Get some help in here. Did you see Susanna's text?
I did.
This is very sweet.
She is so nice.
Susanna says the best bet is to assume the brother's girlfriend was invited for another reason, like her dad is the groom's best friend. Don't ask, just assume there was a good reason, and then you don't feel slighted.
That's a good way to get over something, right? A good way to not hold a grudge is to be like, even if it is tricking your mind, your brain, or whatever, it's a good way to do that. Way to be the bigger person, Susanna.
I think that's not. You could do that.
You could.
I don't know if that's what I would say.
I don't know if that's what I would do, but you could do that.
Tim says it's possible family red flag. Still go on the family reunion trip. Mm-hmm. Just because someone is burning a bridge doesn't mean you get to as well. He says Jesus wants us to keep relationships going strong as long as they are safe and won't cause you to lose your faith. Interesting.
I think I agree with Tim. I think I agree that, I would be, even though I wouldn't trick my mind into maybe making an assumption that there, or like making it seem as if there was an excuse. There may not have been a good excuse, but I would want to be the bigger person, as we've seen from Tim and Susanna, where, you still go to the family reunion and maybe you even be extra kind to this aunt to kind of, the whole idea of like leaping the hot coals on the person's head, making them feel bad for leaving you out. But yeah, I think being the bigger person, being kind in the face of unkindness is a good thing to do sometimes.
Yeah. Lisa says, can she go to the reunion and avoid the aunt and new husband? Just because one member excludes you doesn't mean the whole family feels this way.
Yeah.
But also, she'd be interested to know what the rest of the family thinks of the situation. That would help the ruling. Because, this feels kind of focused on the aunt and the aunt not wanting you around, possibly.
Possibly, yep.
And the rest of the family may not even realize necessarily that this is the case. However, the family reunion, you don't know that everybody else is, as feeling possibly hostile toward you like this Aunt May.
Yeah.
So Aunt May, I feel like you should still go to the family reunion, but I understand why particularly you would want to stay away from the aunt.
Yeah.
'Cause she didn't need to do this.
I mean, I know some people, I know some friends that have some toxic aunts, and they've pulled some not good things. And so, this isn't unheard of, but ultimately, yes, when you are in a relationship with someone, if let's say you get married to someone, my mom always told me, if you get married to someone, you get married to their family as well. Like they are now your family too. And you have to take that into account. And so you do need to think of that. But I think, like what Tim said, it's not a good idea to burn a bridge. And if they want to burn it, doesn't mean you should. And so, you should show them this is the way you treat people. You treat them well. You treat them nice. And I'm going to do that even though you didn't do that to me.
I've got 3 more quick ones to get to. Robbie says maybe the family is trying to give the boyfriend a message that after 3 years she shouldn't be a +1 anymore. She should be a wife. So if he's serious about her, you should put a ring
on it.
How about you talk to him about that instead of not excluding his girlfriend from the wedding?
Passive-aggressive way to do that.
That's a family red flag, and that's what they're doing.
But I like the thought, Robbie.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It is something to... I don't want that to come into this woman's mind.
No, I don't think that would help the situation.
Dee says, I can relate to this. My husband's grandmother and uncle have intentionally excluded me from things because they didn't think I would stick around.
Oh.
But she just kind of shows up anyways. I guess I'm kind of enough of a rebel that when it bothered my now husband's uncle, I was really just nice, sweet to get under his skin. Kill him with kindness.
Yes, kill him with kindness.
And then a lot of people are saying, why can't your boyfriend just ask your aunt why you're not invited?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, communication. Can we have it? Can open communication happen, please? That's what I would like.
Let's start there. Yeah. And if your boyfriend doesn't want to answer that,
he needs to stick up for her.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're marrying the person, you're also marrying your family, but he needs to be like on your side about this.
Yes, absolutely, because this was wrong.
I feel like from what we heard, not enough yet.
Thanks for listening to the RadioU Podcast. Don't forget to rate and review the show.